You ready? For a little news or snooze on this
News or
Wednesday night,
snooze?
presented by
News or
Christopher
snooze?
William Jewelers. Do you have 3 quotes ready?
I do.
Okay, hit me.
Okay. News or snooze? First one, we'll lead with a good one. Kurt Signetti, we've already kind of talked about this. Alonza has separated himself from the pack, pause, pretty significantly. Always was a talented guy. It was just a matter of when everything would click. I just want to say with this quote, hilarious to be like just a matter of time for him. It's like it was pretty quick. Like it clicked very quickly. It didn't
Did you expect him to be a true freshman starting
yeah.
last year?
Just
Like
we were just waiting for this kid to figure it out.
that's a quote you say to a redshirt senior.
Yeah. When's it gonna click for Cole Johnson? Right.
Um, I think that's a newsworthy quote. I think the reason it's newsworthy is it is saying that this wasn't a close competition. There was never really a point Jordan McLeod had a leg up over Alonzo Barnett. It was always Barnett, it seems like. And not only did McLeod never really close the gap, Brett Griffiths never closed the gap. Instead, Alonzo Barnett just continued to get better and better and made that gap larger and larger. And hearing that tells me that Barnett should be good. There should not be a drop off from quarterback play a year ago to this year.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff there. I agree that it's news. All right, number two, short one. Latrell Palmer, JMU running back, said that Ymir Knight, he said this of Ymir Knight, true freshman wide receiver, is going to work sort of in a little slotty role as a backup. He kind of reminds me of KT, referring to Chris Thornton.
Okay, snooze.
Okay, that's a fair snooze.
I think I'll snooze anytime a player talks about like a former player, like they remind me of this person. Like I don't know if you saw the quote making the rounds from Willie Snead, but whatever team he's on now,
Yeah.
who's he on? He was talking about like a young quarterback and goes, he reminds me of a young Drew Brees, and everyone was like, what? And then they dug up a quote from Willie Snead like 3 years ago when he was on the Ravens talking about Lamar Jackson, and he said, quote, he reminds me of a young Drew Brees.
Oh, he just says it about everybody.
Yeah,
Snead's a big Centeo guy.
Willie Snead?
Yeah, I think they have some workout connection.
How do you know this?
He had a tweet in the offseason that was like, it's ridiculous that Centeo's not on a roster or something. I was like,
Probably
really,
because
Snead?
probably because Todd Centeo reminds Willie Snead of a young Drew
Young Drew
Brees.
Brees. That's interesting. That's a fair snooze. I'm excited for Ymir Knight though, and these freshmen. I want to
Yeah.
see what he looks like on the field. But I agree that probably a little early to start comparing him to Chris Thornton, who was like
Yeah.
the most reliable receiver on the team last year. Okay. Here's the last one, which I love. This is probably my favorite quote of the week from Kurt Signetti. Billy, referring to Billy Atkins, Billy has always been, from an arm talent standpoint, as good as we've ever had in the program. News or snooze?
Snooze. Where was that arm talent against Marshall?
That quote came completely out of left field. He talks about how Barnett's great. He praises McLeod for his experience and his like ability to process defenses. Said Griffiths progressed well, and then he goes, Billy Atkins has the best arm talent of anyone ever in the program. Wow, that's a big quote and kind of stunning for him to be QB4. Yeah, I would snooze it too. That was stunning to me that he said that. But
I,
he
I
said
think that
some
is I think that is Kurt Signetti laying the groundwork for Billy to transfer next year.
he said some interesting quotes about Atkins though, because last year, like after the Marshall game, he's like, if he was a good practice player, he'd be a good prospect. It was like, whoa, like taking a shot at him, and now he's like, he's got this great arm. So is he still frustrated with like his practice habits or something? I don't know.
That might be it, but it's snooze regardless. This is a QB4 we're talking about.
Yeah, that I just found that one really interesting, especially with Griffiths like moving his way up the depth chart, just to be like, yeah, he's progressing fine, but the guy behind him has the best arm you'll ever see.
It's also wild that I'm surprised one of your quotes wasn't that the backup quarterback situation is fluid.
That was a great quote as well, which also doesn't make sense. And then he said McLeod would be the backup. He might be saying that to keep like Griffiths and Atkins engaged throughout the season.
Yeah, maybe.